Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us again for another virtual report. I want to say Shubh Diwali to all of you. May Mother Lakshmi shower her choicest blessings on each and every one of you. I hope that as we enter this very special week, that everyone in our nation is blessed with prosperity and happiness. We need it now more than ever. We who have faith in God, we know that light always triumphs over darkness. Darkness must never win and can never win. But Diwali is not just about fasting and prayer. It is about the epic battle to remove darkness and evil. Without a doubt, our nation is going through our darkest time at the hands of a government which simply does not care about you. This darkness, which has engulfed our country, is not new. We have been sliding downhill ever since 2015, when Imbert, Young, Faris, Rohan, and Rowley took office. Every day I get calls and messages from people who are crying, literally crying, frustrated, because they have no jobs to take care of their families. They have no money to buy food. They have no hope. But they know that the government wasted $600 million on 2 NGC projects, and no one has been held accountable. We know our roads have been worse than ever, but this minister is busy building highways to and through lands owned by P&M bigwigs. And of course, we know things are getting worse. So in this season of Diwali, we are told that light removes darkness. I want to tell you, you are that light. You are the light. All good men and women, you are the light. We are all sparks of the divine, and it said, it is us, the good men and women, we have to remove the darkness, all of us. That is why, in the midst of festivities, we are here with you this evening to shine a light on the darkness engulfing our country. Each one of you from every part of our country will light a diya, and together all your diyas, all the lights, will illuminate our whole nation. I want to thank all those of you who have taken up in the past weeks in support of our peaceful October Revolution. Our October Revolution was sparked by the Speaker's attempts to shut down the opposition in Parliament, to mute our voices in our historic attempt to trigger a tribunal to investigate the conduct of the President. We refuse to be silenced, we refuse to be shamed. A spark was ignited in the Parliament, which is spreading throughout our country. Everywhere, people are protesting against the failed leadership of the Rowley regime. We will not be silenced. We will not be shut down. The UNC will never allow the Rowley regime to extinguish the flames of our democratic republic. All across the country, we have seen hundreds of our citizens peacefully protesting against the blatant discrimination and failure by the Rowley government. All across the country, perhaps for the first time ever, we have seen news media actually visiting various areas in our country to listen to the residents talk, to hear what they have to say, listen about the hardships they are facing under this government. All across the country, regardless of race, regardless of creed, regardless of political persuasion, people are saying enough is enough. Enough is enough. And so we say enough of hardships, such as a failure to repair basic infrastructure or roads or bridges. Enough of people not being able to send their children to school. Enough of people not being able to go to work because taxis and buses are no longer working on roads that have become impassable. Or the cost of transportation makes it impossible for them. People are saying enough to joblessness. Enough of an uncaring, incompetent, undemocratic government. In 2021, when we see in the rest of the Caribbean, they're talking about ICTs, they're talking about the digital economy. Way back when, in the day, I was talking about the 4th Industrial Revolution. I think we are in the 5th Industrial Revolution, which I'll share with you in a while. So all over in the Caribbean, our neighbors, they do not have oil and gas. But what they do not have is the Rowley government. They don't have the Rowley government. And they are talking, they're leaping, going in leaps and bounds. Whilst here in Trinidad and Tobago, you cannot get a regular supply of water. After my government, we had provided about 70% of water in our taps. And we were well on our way to making that into the 100% of service. They've taken you from delivery of 100 keys. We used to give out 100 keys to homes per week. taken away the delivery of those keys to the home of your dreams. And instead, they come to your homes to give you a postbox. For what? To put your wasser bill. You have to pay the bill. They come give you a postbox, you could put your wasser bill in there. And then you have to pay for water that you still cannot get in your taps. I ask the question, where will abused mothers and their children go? Where will the physically challenged go? Where will the 5% of the TTPS and the soldiers and national security officers, where will they go? We had allocated at least 5% of all housing, state housing, to these officers. Where will they go? You took away, the Rowley regime, they took away the laptops from our children. And now over 2,000 students appear to have dropped out of the education system since the pandemic began in March last year. They're openly mocking and insulting you. Not laughing at you behind your back, but in front of your face. That is the Rowley regime. I want to tell you tonight, the October Revolution started in October, continues until our democracy is restored and rebuilt. We will continue to shine a light on the discrimination, the open corruption, the iniquity of the Rowley regime, and all of those operating like colonial masters. I ask you to join us in this revolution. Let us work to rebuild and restore the Trinidad and Tobago we knew and loved. Now, here's Mr. Rowley. Goes jets off to Scotland, as you know. I would be very interested to hear what he has to contribute at this conference. While the other respective world leaders will be discussing the important global issue of climate change and trying to find solutions, what exactly will Prime Minister Rowley contribute in that conversation? So at the conference, is Prime Minister Rowley going to tell them that he dismantled the Environment Ministry that I had established? What will he tell them? He doesn't even have a Minister of the Environment or ministry looking after this most important issue worldwide. Is he going to tell them about our unprecedented levels of flooding that he and his government keep turning a blind eye to? Is he going to boast to world leaders about giving LED bulbs to citizens if that is the extent of his plan? Is he going to mention that they have no plan whatsoever to deal with any of the major issues faced in our country, including climate change? Well, interestingly, someone recently shared with me that Scotland has over 500 golf courses. And the place in Scotland where the Prime Minister is, which is Glasgow, has some of the best golf courses in the world. I believe there are over 15 golf courses there. So, as the Prime Minister is there, do you know the young people say, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. Golfing in Scotland, we shall soon find out. We all know that Prime Minister Rowley doesn't care about you. That's a fact. He has shown it over and over, time after time in the last 6 years. He will never admit it. Some people will not admit it. They will not own up and say that is what is happening. I cannot remember a worse time in our country than now. The Rowley P&M do not love you. They do not take care of you. If you are a supporter or not a supporter, it's the same suffering and oppression from this wicked Rowley regime. Look, the man ran over a lady's foot with his golf cart. He didn't even come out of his high golf cart to make sure that she was okay. What kind of people are they? What would you have done if that person were your mother, your sister, your daughter, who was injured, and the Prime Minister did not even care to come out off of that high bogey? What would he say? His attitude is everything is not my problem. That's his attitude, not my problem. The lady is lucky that Rowley didn't get out of the cart and start cussing her for daring to be in the way. Because that's his way. Blame them. Blame everyone else except him and his regime. That's how personally nasty is our Prime Minister. This goes beyond his personality. Because of his failed leadership, we are all facing rising crime, high food prices, a leaderless police service, no police service commission, a surge in COVID-19 cases, and of course, we're seeing what is happening at our hospitals. People are clamoring for relief, even in the middle of a state of emergency. In this situation, what does the Prime Minister do? He runs off, jets off on his way to Scotland, away from the problems he caused, and he goes off to Scotland with one of his recusal twins. One of the recusal twins is in his company. I think he's the guy who carries the golf bag, if I'm not mistaken. So the Prime Minister washed his hands of the crisis facing our country. His concern, taking care of friends, family, financiers, and of course, golfing. If your roads are crumbling, your house falling due to landslips, bridges falling down, would-be dictator Rowley is not bothered, not his problem. As far as he's concerned, it is not his problem. You can't put food on your table? Rowley doesn't care. It's not his problem. However, Rowley doesn't care anything about climate change at that conference either. If he did, he would have gone to Glasgow armed with a clear position on climate change mitigation strategies over and above that of CARICOM. However, Prime Minister Rowley and his team are there, as I said, maybe golfing, eating dinners, lived a good life, collect tax-free US-denominated per diems, and possibly some shopping for new bespoke suits. That's what I see their trip at. At the same time now, you can't get US dollars to pay for your child's education, to keep your business afloat, or to make purchases. This is Rowley's dictatorial, discriminatory method of governing. One rule for you, one rule for him and his cohorts. Taxes for you, tax breaks for them. No pay for you, pay for them. COVID rules for you, no COVID rules for them. No traveling for you, traveling for them. They are not going to do anything about the environment. I would even say, go so far as to say they are there on vacation. And we see so, the President is also failing us, just like the Prime Minister is failing us. Presidency is failing us. One would have expected differently. We had hoped differently, but there is still time for the President to change course and act on behalf of the people. As of now, the President refuses to come clean and tell the citizens whether there was unlawful political interference in the process of selecting a Commissioner of Police. That issue caused the entire Police Service Commission to resign. However, the President is going about business as usual. Reports are the President has submitted to Parliament a list of nominees to fill these vacant positions on the Police Service Commission. But look at this. Submitted where? To the Parliament. We have had some of those notifications there for a while. We had no Parliament sitting all of last week. And this week there will be none, because you know why? The Prime Minister and his cohorts have jetted off to Scotland. So there will be no Parliament sitting whilst the country is in a state of disarray. No Commissioner of Police, a leaderless CTPS. Prime Minister is gone. That is not important enough. They were here last week. Why didn't they summon the Parliament last week? So that we could discuss, debate this very important issue of putting a Police Service Commission in place. Only when such a commission is in place, can we move ahead to appoint or select a Commissioner of Police. So in the middle of all of this disarray, they see it fit all of them to jet off so that they cannot get a compliment in the Parliament to be able to have a Parliament sitting. So they think everything is going to go back to normal, and they act as if they don't care. But they have many questions to answer. I say until you come clean to the population on whether it was the Prime Minister who visited you, Madam President, to discuss a merit list, until you come clean to the population on how the merit list was sent back to the Commission, until you come clean on possible misbehavior in public office, it is my respectful view you have no moral authority to appoint any new members to that Commission. I say to you, with respect, Madam President, you must come clean on why the last Commission collapsed. Your refusal to answer several questions that are very important and in the public interest, you have failed and or refused and or neglected to answer these important questions. You have made the office of the President into a laughing stock, which many citizens now take for a joke or a meme. Your office has become that for memeing. You go up on the social media and nothing more. You're failing citizens, Madam President. Again, we call upon you to answer the questions and clear the air. Come clean, Madam. Come clean, Madam President. Very serious questions need to be answered. So the failure on the part of the President is not just a matter for lawyers and politicians to quarrel about. It has real effects in the real world. It affects each and every one of you. Because Rowley interfered in the selection of a Commissioner of Police, and the President and the Speaker appear to be preventing the country from finding out the truth. There is no Commissioner of Police, I've said. People have lost faith in the police service. We are turning into a banana republic, dictatorship, when during this COVID pandemic, A government financier can host a wedding for his daughter with over 200 guests, 200 persons gathered for that wedding. And persons who gather for a funeral of a reputed gang leader. That funeral recently, hundreds of people gathered in breach of COVID regulations. They were allowed by the police to break the law, break the regulations with impunity. On the other hand, as citizens at funerals, police come and rough up the mourners and fine them. In public protests, where people are protesting for their rights or private gatherings or worshipping, police are selectively enforcing the law. Again, one law for them and one law for you. It's a ticking time bomb at the TTPS because of a non-existence of a Commissioner of Police. Leaderless is the TTPS. So not only are criminals emboldened by this failure of leadership, people are also forced to suffer further hardships. As I've stated so many times, there is a food crisis facing our nation. People cannot afford food. Farmers are not encouraged and facilitated to grow food. Importers cannot import food and shelves are empty. Items are no longer available. So today I believe the government is making much ado. They're removing VAT on the selected items. The biscuits and what was it? Pigtail. Big clapping and cheering themselves. They're removing VAT from some items starting today. But I want to remind you, when we were in government, I had removed a VAT on over 7,000 basic food items. 7,000 food items. So to come now and give people biscuit and pigtail to eat is just a puppy show. Just a puppy show that would really not go a long way to help people who are suffering for food. I want you to remember, when they came into office, they reinstated the VAT on the thousands of items that we had removed it from. And they deceived people. They said they raised the food prices in order to take extra money you had to pay off. So they give it one hand and they take it with the next. Now they come 6 years later to remove VAT on a few items. Nowhere near the 7,000 I had removed from the tax net. And they want you all to say thank you and be very, very grateful. Well, look, Crowley, I say remove VAT from all those 7,000 food items. Then you would have done something. And you wouldn't have to spend all this money flying off all over the world. Use that money instead and take the VAT off, because it's the taxpayers, it's people and the public paying that. Sadly, though, they won't help people problems that their failed leadership has caused or worsened. And as I close this evening, I want to thank you all very much again. Brothers and sisters, we are in a dark place in dark times, certainly. Darkened by failed leadership. I once again remind and assure all of you that light will conquer the darkness. It is only a matter of time, and I can feel that time is coming sooner than later. The UNC will continue to be the light in the darkness, a beacon of hope for all. Our great party, your great party, has set in motion a people's revolution, and as I told you, we will continue to fight with you for a better Trinidad and Tobago. The time for change is here. We cannot and will not continue to allow this spiteful and uncaring rowdy regime to oppress citizens of our country. I call on all of you to join us in bringing about the positive change we need. If dictator Rowley thinks he is the king of Trinidad and Tobago, well, the people of Trinidad and Tobago will depose him lawfully, of course. We will return to good governance. We will restore our democracy and rebuild trust in our institutions and in our government. I say Shubh Diwali to all of you, and may God continue to bless Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you.
Get ready for